Alright, back to Caled, even though I hate it here. I mean, it is starting to grow on me a little bit. I mean, some of the views are nice if you're a fan of a specific type of aesthetic. You know, the one that reminds you of stagnant, disease-ridden algae water. I already beat the Erdtree avatar in the Weeping Peninsula. How hard could this guy be? One day, I do in fact beat him. It's just not today. And I came really close to choking. But my mistakes didn't matter because I was finally able to beat the ulcerated tree spirit and camera gank battle after so many hours of attempts. Oh boy, did that feel good. What's up, boys? Flock of Turtles back again with more self-loathing and penis jokes. Actually, I can't remember the last time I made a schlong joke, so scratch that. Anyways, more Elden Ring on the menu for you guys today. Now, like I said in the last video, I'm just trying to get all this footage caught up to where I am now in the playthrough because I want the finale of this playthrough to be like a live com style episode, as I'm taking on like Radagon and Elden Beast and even Millennia. I don't know what I'm going to do with the final episode of the playthrough yet. I should also mention that I did in fact try the battle multiple times because I am an idiot and I completely forgot about my plan to even do the live com episode. Obviously, I didn't win, so I could still go through with the live com. It's just, you know, I just wanted to give you guys an insight as to what goes on in my brain and, like, how I forget most things that I plan, honestly, when it comes to YouTube. If you enjoy what you see from me today, consider subscribing because that's one of the main things that helps me out, honestly, at this stage, and it just encourages me to do more of this and put more effort into it. Leave a comment letting me know what kind of stuff you want to see in the future, and without further ado, let's just get into this unscripted video. Oh yeah, I was feeling a little bit spicy and I wanted to challenge myself a little bit. So to start off, I wanted to take out the one putrid avatar that's over in Caled. I was just looking around for more like crystal tears for the physic and stuff like that. And I was out here hacking and slashing them up, man. I mean, I'm so over-leveled and overpowered by this point that I was like doing so much damage that it was just a matter of time before I beat him. But then I wound up choking when he had like a sliver of health left, and that was very demoralizing. But anyway, after that, I decided to try to cheese him a little bit, just because I'm a weirdo like that sometimes, and yeah, I figured let me just sit up here with my arrow, try to shoot him a little bit. I stocked up, I had like 100 arrows in my inventory, but then I realized that it's not very feasible because this like Elden Stars style of attack that the Erdtree avatars can do, this was not gonna allow me to go through with my plan, and yeah, there was like multiple deaths and stuff like that because, you know, I just couldn't fight him normally even though I got so close the first time around. I forgot to record the winning attempt like I did so many other times on different boss fights, but then afterwards I headed back to Liurnia because I had some unfinished business with a certain acquaintance, Mr. White Mask Var. Basically, I just wanted to do his questline to get the Mogwin's Palace, so if you've ever done it before, it just involves, like, doing a bunch of different multiplayer invasions. Now, before we get into the multiplayer invasions, let me just preface this by saying that I have not done a single, like, multiplayer duel, like, on my free time or anything like that. So, the first one, it was going okay, but then I figured out that I was getting double teamed, like, unbeknownst to me. So I'm over here fighting Mr. Host of Fingers, and the next thing I know, I just get absolutely strolled on by somebody. Second one against Ms. Emily Host of Fingers. Very classy, this one, even though she's using, like, Moon Veil and then also switching to other weapons and stuff like that. Honestly, I just let her have her way with me. There's nothing wrong with being dominated by a woman every once in a while. Now, you only have to do 3 multiplayer invasions, you don't have to defeat them or anything like that, and then, basically, if you've never done the White Mask Var's questline before, you have to go up to the Church of Inhibition, that's around like the Frenzy Flame Village. You just gotta take a trip up there. This is my first time up this way, so I actually had no idea how I was gonna deal with the Frenzy Flame Tower. You gotta take these dudes out, and then after that, I mean, the Frenzy Flame Tower, you don't gotta worry about it anymore. So, some people might think that everyone in the Frenzy Flame Village is inflicted with madness. I think that the music just made them all lose control. Normally, I'm filled with a little bit of trepidation when I see a church because I don't know what kind of horrors await inside the thing, but... So you actually get invaded by, what the fuck's his name? Festering Fingerprint Vike? Anyway, he can use, like, madness incantations and stuff like that, and believe it or not, fun fact, he's actually, like, the soldier that you see on the cover of Elden Ring. You know, Vike put up a good fight, but unfortunately, he's too much of a scrub to deal with me. What you have to do, you just have to find this maiden up here. You have to soak the friggin' cloth that Var gives us with her blood, and then we gotta go back to Var, and then... How fitting is it that Mogwin's Palace, one of the creepiest places, is below Caled? These both suck. Now, I was just chilling, riding along on torrent when I thought I heard something funny, and I turned around and, yeah, that's not something you see every day. I don't know, apparently Mogwin's palace is full of horrors beyond man's comprehension because, I don't know, I've never died quicker than anywhere else in this game. I got to the place that if you don't recognize this place, you haven't lived yet, my friend. Alright, we've got no time to waste. You should know what I'm here for by now. There should be no secret. You just aggro the bird over there. He jumps off the cliff to his doom. You get about 11,000 runes a pop, and then just rinse and repeat. Now, you may be asking yourself, why the hell is this man trying to overlevel himself even more than what he already is right now? That's because I had a couple of aces up my sleeve. Minecraft YouTubers be like, hey guys, I did a little bit of off-camera mining. After I did a little bit of rune farming, I wanted to go further up into the palace to see if there was like a site of grace that I could unlock near the top for later when I wanted to fight Moog. Everyone was pretty much peaceful except for this guy. I mean, we got to a cave and I thought, you know, I was safe and sound, not really much to deal with. And then, out of nowhere, a sanguine noble shows up. These dudes are no joke. They might be my least favorite enemies in the game. So after I went gallivanting around in Mogwin's palace a little bit and I died to the sanguine noble like 187 more times, I wanted to get into Raya Lucaria, but I realized I didn't have the key. I don't know, man. It says right here I should be looking for like a dragon to be guarding the key or something, but I don't see a Ah. Well, I don't know, man. He's sleeping so peacefully. I don't know if I want to disturb him. So Mr. Glintstone Dragon Smegma was a little bit upset that he got disturbed from his catnap, but I gotta do what I gotta do, so it's pretty much the same thing as the Aghill fight, except instead of flames, this guy uses, like, magic glintstone breath. It wasn't that much of a challenge. Yeah, not much else to be said about that. Alright, Smaragd, thank you for doing business. I'm gonna take that key. As I head into the Academy of Raya Lucaria, I must mention that 0 school shooter jokes will be tolerated in this comment section. Now, as I was sitting there thinking of what I was having for dinner later that night, I went over to grab that item. Next thing I know, that little cloud of energy over there just morphed into a freaking skeletal purple soldier thingy. Now, even though he had a very ominous entrance, he was honestly very easy to take out, and so just to give you guys some more insight into how my brain works, you would think that someone would see this and say, hey, this is pretty suspicious, this might be the way to advance, and I thought to myself, no, that's too obvious. I was wandering around in the academy for like an hour because I just simply refused to take the elevator and like advance, you know, through the academy, so I just went back to room farm a little bit more. I got up to level 80 like a crackhead. And since I was pumping intelligence the entire time so I could actually be able to wield the moon veil, I thought it was about time that I took my new acquisition for a little bit of a spin. Because spoiler alert, I commit a cardinal sin in this video. Oh yeah, I turn into one of those guys. Yeah, it must be nice to be a bitch-ass mage and just be able to use all your bitch-ass spells from all over across the bitch-ass room and not have to come up to me and use your fucking bitch-ass melee attack on me because you're too much of a bitch. So unbeknownst to me, at the top of all these stairs was the boss room for the Red Wolf of Radagon. I didn't bother going back to the Site of Grace to heal up. I thought I could take him out first try on my own. Needless to say, with 0 flasks of Crimson Tears, no way to heal myself, I couldn't even recover my FP. Boom. This fight didn't really last too long. Bop. And I'll tell you what, man. There are so many parts of this game that if I wasn't over-leveled, I would have been stuck on forever. Fuck. Elden Ring, but Brandon fucking dies while commentating. Red Wolf of Radagon is like a glass cannon. Like, he's fast as hell, his attacks do so much damage, but honestly, I took him out within, like, probably 11 or 12 hits because his HP bar is, like, about the size of my friggin'... I done found myself a If I had $1 for every time that I was surprised to see one of these balls, I'd have about $3. So I sat here for a minute or two trying to think of a game plan to get around the ball, and then I figured after the roll, I'd get up over the railing, and yeah. But we don't talk about my mistakes on this channel, we just get to the good stuff. So after we defeated Renala's simp, I walked through these giant double doors not knowing what's on the other side, and then I thought to myself, hey, this kind of looks like Renala's boss arena. You know, secretly, I think that Miyazaki knew that people would discover a foot fetish during the Renala fight, so I think that's why these weird-ass scholars tried biting at her toes and nibbling at them as we're walking in. And I'm just gonna preface this by saying I do not have a foot fetish, but why the hell are her feet so goddamn big? So I know I just started using the Moon Veil, but I knew that going into this fight, using the katana, or excuse me, the Uchi katana would just make a hell of a lot more sense because it was more upgraded and I still had better dexterity stats and stuff like that, so A few unsheath attacks take away so much of her health, and the only thing I really had to worry about was her phase transition when she started summoning everything, but I got pretty lucky with her summons. I didn't have to deal with, you know, the giant, or yeah, I don't even think she summoned the Bloodhound Knight. And, yeah, my dumbass got obliterated by her Kamehameha. Now, even though I got my head blown off by her friggin' Comet Azure attack, it didn't really matter too much because as soon as she summoned the dragon, I was able to take her out, and we first attempted Renala. I mean, can't really complain about that. And now, my friends, this is where some of you may lose respect for me. So I had a couple larval tears, and my friends, it is respect time. But before that, we need a wardrobe change. Oh yeah, look at this sexy motherfucker. So I'm assuming most of you guys have been to the Elden Ring wiki by now, and if you don't know, the guy that kind of like admins that page, Fextra Life, he's done a ton of Elden Ring build guides ever since the start of the game, and I pretty much based the respec around his like Moonveil Samurai guide. I don't know if it was like his level 50 build. Obviously I'm at level 80, so I just increased the stats here or there. And so it was time to officially become an intelligence, dexterity, dual build scumbag. The meteorite staff is really good early on, like it has really like powerful scaling, but you can't even really upgrade it. Well, actually you can't upgrade it all, so I just went ahead and used the Academy Glintstone staff. About 1 week later, after all of that occurred, and then I find myself in the wilderness on horseback. Now, I wanted to stop by the Divine Tower of Liurnia because, I mean, at the time, I didn't know that you had to like do part of Ronnie's questline and essentially like almost finish it to be able to, you know, access certain parts of there. So I'm not gonna lie, I spent probably a good solid hour to an hour and a half just running around in this place like an absolute schmuck instead of just looking up the fact that no, Brandon, you cannot advance any further without doing Ronnie's quest. But I mean, I got the carrying glintstone staff, so I guess it's not that much of a waste. Yeah, I sat here for a good little while looking up at that thing and being like, hey, you know, there's gotta be a way for me to, like, jump up that thing, even though it looks like an upside-down staircase. Alright, time for the annual check-in at Grail's Dragon Burrow to see if I can beat the Blackblade Kindred. Do we beat him this time around? The answer is no, we do not. Find out next week if we beat him. And then I thought to myself, I was like, you know what? Screw the Blackblade Kindred. You know who I can fight, and you know who I can beat? General Radahn. Yeah, I don't know, honestly, like, what my thought process was. I didn't know, like, if it was even reasonable for me to take him on. I didn't do any of Alexander's questline before this, like, any of the initial stuff. He shows up here in the castle anyway. Now, I know I've said this phrase many times, but this, my friends, is the real, true first test for us as Tarnished in this game. Alright, boys, no time to waste. We gotta get into that fight against General Chadon and Mr. Leonard the Horse, or is it Leonard? So, at this point, I want to mention that I believe I was fighting General Radahn after they reverted the nerf that they did to him on patch, I don't know if it was like 1.02 or 03. So, this is me fighting General Radahn in all of his long lost glory. So, up until this point, you would think that I didn't know anything about Radahn, but honestly, this is like the end of April by the time I'm fighting him, and I've already seen like multiple challenge runs and multiple boss fights against Radahn. So I had somewhat of an idea of like what to look for in the fight against him. And realistically, looking back at this, I probably should have been using the Uchi Katana. But I wanted to commit to being like a Moonveil scumbag. And so I probably could have been doing more damage. But, you know, with all the summons and then like just the fact that you can just spam friggin' Transient Moonlight, I was doing pretty good against Radahn. I mean, a lot of his attacks seem common sense of like how and when to dodge them. I mean, general rule of thumb, what I was just sticking to is, like, just dodge forward into them, but... Now, see, I was doing pretty good, but then once Radahn's phase transitions, I got absolutely obliterated by the Champagne Supernova. Honestly, I was feeling pretty good, because after the first attempt, I got him down to half health, and I was like, you know what? I can definitely do this. Some attempts were better than others. You know, sometimes I got him down to a quarter health. Sometimes it was down to about half health again. And then other times, I pretty much, like, barely even got a single goddamn hit on him. But you know what? It's like what I was telling you guys beforehand about all the other boss fights that I was going through, and the one thing that I learned as part of the 24-hour videos, and that is that I couldn't get discouraged. Every single fight is a learning experience. I mean, that's just how the games are designed. They're designed to teach you just how to be better at the game based on your own, like...
That
This attempt in particular, I was feeling good, man. The summons weren't dying. we were just hacking and slashing away at Radahn's little cute little ankles. And then when he phase transitioned, I knew exactly what to look for. We didn't get hit by the freaking Star Scourge Comet Blast Meteorite attack that he likes to pull out. I got Radahn. I got him right here, man. I know exactly what to look for. I'm getting good dodges in. I got this, man. I'm going to beat him. I'm going to beat General Radahn. I just got to dodge this one final attack, and then I'll... But, like I said before, even though I was very salty, even though I definitely choked and I feel like I should have definitely killed him, just the same thing as before. I was operating a little bit more on horseback on this fight because I wanted to be a little more conservative, and honestly, I was playing like a little bitch because I wanted to beat him, and my hands were starting to get sweaty and all that kind of crap that happens when you're getting a little too excited playing video games. I was attacking him on horseback, doing the most. Things were getting kind of hairy because I only had one healing flask left, and then I was down to none. But pretty soon, man, he put up a good fight, but not a good enough fight. And that concludes the start. Oh boy, that is the first real test, I'm going to say. Because fighting an unnerfed, reverted nerf, I guess, Star Scourge Radahn back when everyone was like cakewalking over him, I'll take that. Don't mind me. I'm just doing my semi-annual stopping and admiring the scenery that I always do. Now, side note, I think other than Godric's Great Rune, I'm going to say Radahn's is probably my favorite effect. Then after that, I went into some catacombs, you know, just because I felt like doing a little bit of side questing and stuff like that. I pop a rune arc, I get in there, and then we fight against the friggin' motorcycle. We fight against the Spirit Caller Snail, and I think this is a really cool boss fight. So, if you don't know, if you've ever done this one, it's literally just a snail that summons, like, spirit ashes, essentially, and then you just have to go around finding the little patches of light. It's such an easy fight, because you could just avoid the ashes that it summons, but the only downside is I didn't really like the reward that I got from it. You know, with the way inflation is and everything right now with food products, I think I should probably kill some of these guys and sell them on the market to make some extra cash. Oh shit, I think that guy just heard me. So before you guys start booing me, I'm just gonna come out and say it. I committed to the power-stancing scumbag that also uses, like, intelligence, incantations, and sorceries and stuff. But, I mean, it's a pretty fun build because I didn't realize how much range that you can get with the rock sling. So anyway, after I took out that caravan, I went to the back of this chest, and I picked up a pretty cool item, man. I picked up the Carrion Knight's sword, even though I have no plans on using it. After that, got the map for Western Liurnia, and then it was time to go to the 4 belfries. I didn't know what I was looking for in particular. I don't think the rewards are honestly that good. Now, even though I picked them at random, like, I managed to actually pick a pretty decent one, so I traveled through the portal, and then I actually wound up at the one that teleports you back to the Chapel of Anticipation. So, I mean, if you know what I'm going for here, it's just a fight against the Grafted Scion, and being at level, like, 80 or 81, whatever the hell I was at this time, yeah, he still does a decent amount of damage, but oh my friggin' sweet Jesus, I absolutely dunked on his head with the amount of damage that I was doing to him. I was still trying to get used to, like, you know, the whole friggin' Moonveil power stancing thing, but I think the Ornamental Straight Sword is something I want to use in the future, and I do have an idea of when and how I'm going to use it. I was just chilling in the chapel doing some reminiscent of when I first loaded up the game, and god damn, we have come a long way, my friends. So I'm just chilling on the road to the manor because I wanted to head up to the Cardinal manor, and I didn't even notice freaking E.G. just chilling there. I didn't notice him the entire time I was sitting at the site of grace. And it was a pretty cool discovery that, he sells somber smithing stones. I knew nothing about that. He gives a quick little warning about the road up to the manor, that it's guarded by magic and all that crap, but I wasn't going to listen to him. I mean, he's talking all this crap about how the road up to the manor is dangerous. I ain't going to listen to him, man. Oh, shit, I should have listened. But honestly, it's not even that, like, it's not that difficult whatsoever to get up to the manor. I didn't take a single hit from any of these, like, sky spell friggin' things. If you just wait for the auditory cue and then look up, you can avoid them, honestly, no problem on horseback. And you know, I wish he would have warned me about a certain enemy that's inside the manor. You know, the friggin' hands. God damn, I hate these things so much. They're just so creepy. They remind me of spiders, and they're just so goddamn fast, and and they're just so damn annoying to deal with, dude. I ain't gonna lie. I died many, many times to the friggin' hands while I was in here. But after I got throttled around, and after I got some happy endings from the giant hands that were in there, I finally made it up to the 2nd level of the manor and just took out some of the spirit soldiers up here. This place looks familiar. Am I supposed to be doing something right here right now? Oh yeah, that's right, the Loretta fight. The one that I died on the first attempt doing. and many subsequent attempts afterwards. One thing that I didn't know was happening at the time is that my controller that I was using was actually a little bit screwed up. So, like, it just wasn't reading my inputs, and the left analog stick was messed up, and it was just so annoying to have to deal with because I didn't know that's what was happening at the time. But after a couple of attempts, I defeated the Royal Knight Loretta friggin' Shade Spirit, whatever you want to call it. It's not even that too hard of a fight looking back on it. I really think the controller was just holding me back, but the reason why I came here is because I needed the Loretta's Great Bow spell because I was really committing to like the whole Fextra Life build that I watched. I know, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little nerdy, but I couldn't help it. I thought the build was really cool, okay? And then I find myself at the Three Sisters because I made the decision that I wanted to commit to Ronnie's questline and I wanted to do Ronnie's ending. So I accidentally triggered the Adula boss fight. Like, I had no idea that there was a dragon fight in here. And then I got it down to about half health, and then the thing just goddamn disappeared on me. Yada yada yada, you guys know how this all works by now, I'm sure. Gotta go into Nokron, gotta get the Finger Slayer Blade, gotta do all that nonsense, so go fuck yourself, Celavis. I tried taking Ronnie's hint into account of where the Starstruck and Limgrave, and then I read that it's somewhere in the Mistwood. I didn't know exactly where to look for a Nokron, but I assumed that this giant crater in the ground with all these suspended floating stones was probably a good place to start looking. So I went into the hole as any man would, and I indeed found Nokron on the first try. See what happens when you just dive right in, boys? Oh yeah, and I did a little test run of Loretta's Great Bow. Too bad I wasn't actually aimed at anything. So I got into the main courtyard of Nokron, and my first impression was, yeah, this place is pretty cool. Now, one thing I definitely want to do before I forget, completely before I move on to New Game Plus, is you can actually get Spirit Ashes for these, like, Great Shield Eternal City Soldiers. I don't exactly know what they're called, but yeah, these little buggers with their shields, man, they were giving me some problems. Alright, boys, who wants to see me beat my own ass? So the Mimic Tier fight is honestly, like, one of the coolest concepts that I think they came up with. I understand it can be, like, cheesed fairly easily, and, you know, it's very trivialized, and it's not very challenging, but I just like the concept of it. Poor guy didn't stand a chance. You hate to see it. I don't care what any of you say. I definitely hit that ledge, and I definitely should not have died right there. But after traveling through Nokron a little bit more, I finally got the Finger Slayer Blade, so we can finally report back to Mommy Ronnie and get our reward, man. But before I did that, I did what any reasonable Elden Ring player would do. Use a Stone Sword key, kill this Nox sorceress person, and then get the Mimic Tier Ashes. Oh yeah, this is where it really gets fun. So we report back to Ronnie. Officially, we are on our way to becoming her consort. Her man, and she is finally becoming our maiden. Oh my god, it's about time going up to one of these Divine Towers. There's nothing I have to look forward to, like no challenges or anything like that.
Hello, motherfucker.
Never mind, spoke too soon. So after I definitely 100% beat that Godskin Noble because, like, what do you take me for? Like some kind of fool or something like that? That can't hold his own against the boss? You know, get the Curse Mark of Death, do the usual stuff that you gotta do with her questline. Then we head over to the Anzil River Main to advance a little bit further to eventually get down to the Lake of Rot, which you will be seeing in the next episode. First, we gotta talk to little miniature Ronnie, and no, I didn't jiggle her in a cup around or in a jar with my tarnished seed in it. No one fucking does that. The person that made that video is an absolute weirdo. Anyways, to sort of leave off, not yet, but basically the last thing that I do in this episode, head over to Noxtella, adventure around a little bit, just advance a little bit further, you know, into her quest line and through the city. There's not much that I did here looking back on it. There's like a lot of stuff, like boss fights and shit that I missed. But anyway, I mean, I can always come back and do that stuff in the future. There are some things that I want to do before I head into New Game Plus. One of the things, unfortunately, is I want to come down here and beat that gargoyle double gank battle fight. I don't know what the hell people call them. But yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff down here. You know, the Eternal Cities are definitely an interesting place to say the least. A lot of giant ants, more of those Mimic Tiers. My controller, as you can see, was still fucking up and I was like about to smash it against the wall. And yeah, I mean, that's where I'm going to leave it off for today, so I hope you enjoyed watching me convert to the dark side and become a Dex Int build scumbag. Now, I said I would not let myself turn into that, but, you know, I couldn't resist the urge and it was just too tempting, I'm going to be honest. So, next video is pretty much going to be the completion of Ronnie's questline, so stick around for that. I did, in fact, you know, like I said, get stuck on this fight, but this broken-ass controller was giving me hell, and, like, I'm going to use that as my excuse, okay? It's legit, and you're just going to have to deal with that, so trying to get caught up on editing all the gameplay footage, so expect more Elden Ring in the future. If you like what you saw from me today, support me in my endeavor in becoming the greatest YouTuber on the face of the earth, or whatever. by subscribing to the channel. Maybe even just telling a friend or something like that. Like, you know, any sort of interaction and anything like that just goes a long way for someone like me. So, that's all for me today. You'll see me again soon, and you guys have a good one. Adios.